So suppose they are supposed to be getting around 2,000 calories, 1,500. They might even be, well under that. And maybe they're even feeling pretty good about that. Like they kind of made all the right decisions today. Well, let's see how this plays out over the weekend. So on Saturday, the very following day, they wake up, and even though they're hungry, they decide to wait until brunch with the in-laws to eat their first meal. So it isn't until about 11:30 in the morning that they have pancakes and maple syrup, bacon, 2 eggs, and orange juice. And maybe they even had intentions of getting an omelet, but they were just so famished by then that they went for the pancakes. And maybe they're so stuffed from brunch that they just skip lunch. And it isn't until about 4 p.m. they start snacking on popcorn with a light beer. And then by 7 o'clock, they might have a burger and sweet potato fries. Suppose it's just kind of pub food and that's what's available to them. And they finish the night with a couple more beers with friends and maybe even just something salty right before bed. So we may think that, they didn't really go completely off the rails. But it looks like their macronutrient consumption is a little bit different. Whereas yesterday, most of their most of their macros came from carbohydrates, or most of their calories rather. Today, it looks like most of them are coming from fat, and it also looks like, if we're to be counting calories, they went well over their limit today. They went about 4,000 calories for today. And if we're going back to that 2,000 calorie requirement, the average calories over those 2 days was 2,800. So even though we were way under on Friday, we were way over on Saturday. I think of it sort of as a pendulum swing, back and forth. Our body really likes to find that equilibrium. And this is pretty common. Maybe you can think back to a time where you've experienced this. And lastly, our Friday was a little bit of a drag to get through. Even though we felt like we were making smart decisions, we were also rushed and stressed and under eating, and we were kind of in a constant battle of, punishment and reward. And we need to find a better way than willpower alone to stay consistent. Which leads us to what our foundation is. So I like to think of foundation as being the way you would want to eat, the way you would truly want to eat for the rest of your life. Now, this could look slightly different depending on who you are. Perhaps you abstain from certain foods for religious or cultural reasons, or you have certain allergies or dietary needs and restrictions. But overall, our foundation is mostly based on whole foods. So, vegetables of every color, poultry and beef and dairy and fish, nuts and seeds, healthy oils, fruit, starchy vegetables, and things like potatoes and yams. It should be the way you want to eat forever. It should be the way you want to eat because it feels so gosh dang good to eat this way. Now, how can we create our foundation? We can get adequate sleep. We can properly hydrate ourselves, eat protein with every meal, eat vegetables with every meal, strength train, or any kind of exercise, but strength train specifically, if weight loss is a goal, 3 to 4 times a week. Keep a log of what you eat and how you feel before, during, and after eating, just to reconnect with your habits and tendencies and understanding patterns. Eat slowly and without distractions. I think of this as that rest and digest state where we're chewing slowly, we are tasting our food, we are able to discern when we are full. And in our foundation, we keep things in perspective. We know that health is a lifelong pursuit. And if we slip up, it's no big deal. We get back on track. Now, our foundation is the way we could eat forever. It's the way we want to eat forever. But maybe you have short-term goals. And maybe even though your foundation is solid, you may like to explore modifying certain elements of how you eat and what you eat in order to reach those goals. So in creating a goal, we want to think about it building on top of our foundation. One of the biggest problems with diets is the presumption that you must change dramatically and fundamentally what you eat. And that's simply not sustainable, nor is it something that sounds desirable, right? Wouldn't you be much more likely to achieve your goal if you knew that what you were already doing was working to support that goal? So we're just swiveling around our foundation. We're not flip-flopping in and out of it. We've talked a lot about goals already, but just to recap, ensure your goal is in alignment with your values, it's attainable and realistic, it's action-oriented, and it's time-specific. So some of the foods and items in this slide are representative to me in some ways of a short-term goal. Perhaps you're increasing your carbohydrates to support your increased activity level. So you're having more white rice. Maybe you're supplementing with nutritional supplements such as branched chain amino acids. Maybe you're logging your calories and your food intake for the day. Maybe you've decided that's not something that you want to practice 365 days out of the year, but for short-term goals, you can manage it. Or maybe it's just about finding small hacks that make your short-term goal more livable, like a halo top. The important thing to remember, though, is that these goals are short-term. We want to reach a freedom from those short-term daily tasks in some ways. We have to. We just can't always be in goal mode 24/7, 365. At a certain point, we have to learn to just kind of live our lives. So, how do we create that? Well, first of all, we can walk ourselves through the entire decision-making process. Starting with, do I want this food? Suppose you've arrived to the office and there's Chips Ahoy on the break room counter. It may look kind of good. Maybe you're thinking about grabbing one. The first thing would be, do I want this food? First thing to ask. Maybe the answer is yes. That's all right. The second question would be, does this food run counter to my goals? And I would actually take that a step further, because maybe in your freedom, it's not always about the goals. So you may ask, does this food run counter to how I want to feel? Maybe after you eat the Chips Ahoy, you know you're going to be bloated and in a brain fog after. Maybe you're going to feel guilty. Then you might ask, is it worth it if I eat this food anyway? Yes, I know this food is going to wreck me. I might be running to the bathroom. I might feel tired. I might break out. Ask the question, is it worth it if I eat this food anyway? And the answer might be yes, and that's okay. I really want to stress that there are foods for which it is 100% worth it.